sentimental longing or a wistful affection for the past, typically for a period or a place with happy personal associations. This is nostalgia, and I'm sure it's a feeling that most of us in Gen Z have felt at some point or another throughout our life. Nostalgic comes from the two Greek words nostos, meaning return, and algos, meaning pain. It's the suffering of oneself evoked by the desire of oneself to return to their place of origin. This might sound like a very familiar feeling to you because studies show that over 50% of Gen Z is feeling a heavy nostalgia for their childhood or just older times in general. Now, you might think this is normal for all human beings, but the most interesting part about this is that Gen Z is feeling more nostalgia than any generation before them in the whole human history. So why is that? My personal biggest theory is based on what has happened to the world since 2020. It was such a monumental year of hopes dying and dreams coming to a halt. And I think I speak for every single person watching this video when I say that it really made us miss the old days. Things were so much simpler in the 2000s and the 2010s. You know, we went to school, we hung out with our buddies, we played Halo Reach on the Xbox 360, we played Mario Kart DS. I mean, life was just amazing. Sleepovers with friends, pizza parties, you get the gist. And I feel like this is why it hit Gen Z the hardest. In my humble but arrogant opinion, I believe the 2000s was the greatest decade in recent human history. And of course, I'm a little biased because I got to grow up through it, but most of Gen Z either saw the whole decade or they have memories of when they were super young throughout the 2000s. Experiencing things like children's TV shows and the coolest technology that was known to mankind at the time was something that we'll never get back ever for Gen Z. I mean, it was the last decade before the rise of social media and these stupid smartphones. I feel like hatred for people around you was at like an all-time low. I mean, the biggest thing you were judged for was wearing Heelys and having a green DS instead of a fucking blue or red one, which honestly wasn't you. I believe Gen Z's nostalgic rush is just a desperate attempt to turn back the clock to a decade before now or 2 decades before now, even though sadly we know that we'll never have it back. Watching the world go from silly bands and Xbox 360 LAN parties to Discord calls and Apple Watches has to be one of the most depressing feelings for someone who got to see the greatness that was the 2000s. And the sad reality of it is, if you're someone like me that's constantly chasing that feeling that we had when we were 10 years old, the worst part about it is that we'll never get it back because we've grown up. We have bills now and responsibilities, and we can't just blissfully ride through the world like we did when we were little kids, which sucks, and it's honestly depressing. But if you're someone like me who's so heavy on nostalgia, you can still get your little hits of it if you just don't allow all the buzz of the world to get in the way. Like me personally, I own every game console from PS1 to Xbox Series S, like that whole generation. I even have a lot of the Super Nintendo shit, even though that was before my time. And I love to enjoy a little throwback every now and then, even if it's just once a month. You know, turning on my PS2 and playing Dig Dug or playing Scooby-Doo 100 Frights, or turning on my Xbox 360 to just flick my stick on Skate 3 or play some Grand Theft Auto 4. You can always do those little things to make sure your soul smiles. I believe we're all still little children and we've just sadly grown up. But once we become adults, we're always chasing that childlike feeling. And you can still achieve it every single day. You really can. You just have to go back to those things. There's nothing wrong with them even today. I feel we can still feed that little nostalgic itch by not allowing what society sees as childish run every decision that we make. So walk with that PSP in your pocket. Put those 100 silly bands halfway up your arm and wear those baggy shorts. Let's let the 2000s rule the fucking world again, man. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure you drop a like. This video meant a lot to me because I got to talk about a lot of things that I love from my childhood, and I wanted you guys to know that you're not alone, man. Nostalgia is killing Gen Z, like ridiculously, because I honestly think that we grew up in the greatest time in human history. Tech was so advanced yet so primitive, but it didn't rule the world, you know? Nobody was a slave to technology yet. It was something where, like, if you had it, you were the shit. Like, if you had that PS2 or that original Xbox, motherfuckers were coming to your house, bro. Flat screens, the birth of flat screens, are we serious? Handhelds? Oh my god, man. That life, that was something, man. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Keep it kicking. Later.